Thank you, everyone. Good morning. My name is Alban Kwan, and from CSC. So this is actually my third year to be a diamond sponsor in the PwC Hackaday event. So this is something that I actually tell the audience every year, and I'll do it again this year because I think not everyone is familiar with our name, and the reason is because that we are actually not defined as a vendor in the cybersecurity world. We are definitely a vendor, a part of the cybersecurity industry, but I'm just really from a different kind of community, which I would define as the internet community. So today, I'm going to talk about something hopefully you'll find interesting. I hope to talk about something slightly different. So we talk about AI, Web 3.0, and phishing attack. So I have all the buzzwords in the topic. So that's why you understand this is already going to be interesting. But what I'm not going to talk about is our products, because as I mentioned, I'm from a slightly different industry, and I hope to talk more about the concept and how we see things from the internet community. So if you are, we still sponsor the event, so if you are so interested in what we say, please go to our booth afterwards. So now, Web 3.0 and AI. Let's start with a little bit about the definition first. So most of the time when you read the newspaper and stuff like that and heard about the word Web 3 or Web 3.0, they're basically talking about the same thing, which is basically blockchain, cryptocurrency, and stuff like that. But from the internet community, we don't see it like that. Web 3 and Web 3.0 are entirely different things, which a lot of people got confused. Now, so I have to start by talking a little bit about the definition first, and then we can understand how AI actually relates to what we call Web 3.0. Now, if you look into the evolution of web itself, we have something called Web 1, which is basically, there's a lot of definition, but you can say it's a hypertext web, which is, or sometimes we call it a one-way kind of web where you can only read. It's developed by a guy called Tim Berners-Lee. As one of the father of the internet. He's not the only one. Now then we move to Web 2 or Web 2.0, which is the social web. We talk about the Facebook, the Google, and stuff like that. And now, which is interestingly, we kind of diverge into something called Web 3, which is basically a decentralized web about the blockchain. But there is actually something else as well called Web 3.0, which is something that we call a web that understands itself, or semantic web. Now, if you think about it like 10 years ago, the concept of semantic web is actually a lot more popular than what you see now. The terms kind of get hijacked in some way by the Web 3 kind of industry, but the semantic web, or Web 3.0, is actually kind of coined by the same person that developed Web 1, one of the father of the internet team. So now with that kind of background in place, let's have a little bit of a more understanding of Web 3 first. So Web 3 as a term is coined by a guy called Gavin Wood in 2014. Now he is the guy that developed one of the cryptocurrency, Ethereum. So you see how the term Web 3 is related to what they do. Basically, Web 3, in this definition, is about how do we actually replace the existing internet with the blockchain technology. So it's more like a different kind of internet, and it's actually create a lot of problem in the internet community itself because kind of do away with the foundation technology of the internet, which is the DNS, domain name, IP addresses, and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of a controversy there. Now, let's look into how big Web 3 is compared to the traditional web first. So Web 3, if you look into how you actually use it, you use it through something called the dApps, the decentralized app, the dApps. Now, if you look into the penetration rate, dApps is actually roughly have about 2.2 million users in comparison to 5 billion different apps around the world. So in terms of percentage, it's actually 0% or 0 point something percent of the user base. So internet itself is still a lot bigger. Now, if you compare to a more reasonable data, because 95% of the apps actually failed, and if you remove all this, then you still talk about the dApps only contain about 1% of the user base in comparison to the kind of Web 2, Web 1 kind of internet with the mobile apps application. Now, with this background, let's look into Web 3.0. What is Web 3.0 that I've talked about? So this is something called semantic web. And the term is coined by the father of the internet, one of the father of the internet, Tim Berners-Lee, in 1994, and Vision in 1994, and Kwan in 1991. So roughly 13 years before the existence of Web 3. It is part of the overall vision and mission of the Web3, W3C, which is the kind of the governing body of the World Wide Web. And semantic in Chinese is called 语义网. So it basically means that you have to understand the language of the internet. It has something to do with language, all right? So the ultimate goal is to make an internet that understands itself. The meaning of the word will get linked with all the different words within the internet, and somehow it understands itself. All right, and the fundamental technology is something called RDF and R and things like that. I won't go into. Now, if you look into the same kind of evolution, more from a technical perspective, in Web 1, websites are linked, but the data are not. Basically, you have different hyperlink to link stuff together, but the meaning and the data are not really linked. Now, in Web 2, in the Facebook world, and the Google world, WeChat world, data are basically decentralized. It's centralized to platforms, but decentralized in general across platform. So, and sometimes you will see data being integrated and kind of exchanged through some kind of API. So that's how Web 2.0 works. So Web 3.0, in the semantic web kind of way, is that data is actually linked so machine can understand it. And how it does it is that, this is a graph from, actually a copy from Google, from something called the Google Knowledge Graph, a service launched in 2012. So in concept, user in the internet will have control over data, and that data will be able to communicate across different platforms. So similar to Web3, you know how that being copied to the Web3 kind of world, but conceptually this is how it works. It's not linked by API, but by the meaning of the word itself. Now, to show you how it actually works in the Google kind of way, so this is something called the knowledge graph, which is a product of a semantic web concept. So if you have something called the J.R.R. Tolkien, who is the author of the Lord of the Rings, more guy. So what we actually do in a knowledge map is to define data and link the data together. So you can see that J.R.R. Tolkien, they have a Legolas, and Legolas is played by Orlando Bloom. J.R.R. Tolkien is died in the United Kingdom. And stuff like that. So you have map information and data together in a meaningful way that the machine can understand. So, and the result is that when you ask the question, where did the author of the Lord of the Rings die, you get the answer. All right? So you can already see the kind of the similarity between Web 3.0 and AI, because that's actually what you want to get, right, from AI. So, but what's the difference? How does it actually work? So when you build semantic web, this is what you do. You have the HTML coding, but you have a lot more definition of the word. So you can actually proactively define how the machine should understand you and should understand a concept, understand the terms, or your company name, for example. The product that you do. So this is how it works. You can define all these parameters using the same technology that empower the Web 1 and Web 2. So this is fundamentally how it works. Now, let's go into AI. So I won't go into too much details about AI because we already talked about it and I'm kind of running out of time. So you have, in the AI, in our world, you have the 3 levels that we talked about this morning. Conceptually, you have different learning types. You have supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and then kind of like a matrix kind of learning. Whatever learning that you do, if you want to be accurate, you need the kind of supervised learning. The question is how much supervised learning that you actually have to do. Can you do a little bit more unsupervised learning, but still get an accurate answer? So when we talk about how all this AI has hallucinate, it's probably because they have too much unsupervised learning and too little supervised learning. So in terms of AI, and if you compare that with the concept of semantic web, they're both pretty similar in the sense that semantic web add a lot of tags, and then the data being defined. And AI, you want to label data in the supervised learning and then train the model. And then you have an internet that understands itself. So basically the two converge together using different types of learning model, different techniques, but they both achieve the same thing. Now, and this guy, just believe me, is one of the kind of the experienced person in this world, and he called this, if you add AI and semantic web together, it's kind of creates something called a virtuous circle. It kind of reinforces each other. Now, having said all this, so what does this Web 3.0 concept have to do with phishing and cybersecurity? Now this is it. What about phishing? So I will talk about two different problems in phishing with AI and the learning model that we talk about. So the first problem is that when we talk about phishing attack and phishing detection at the moment, the predominant way is to look into the context. And we can see, sometimes they don't write the language really well, and then we can kind of define this as a potential phishing. Now, the problem is that, with AI, I think, I won't go into too much details about it because the previous person already talked about it in details. You can't distinguish it anymore. Maybe in the age of AI, if the phisher is coming from Ukraine or Russia or Iran, they can use an AI to write a perfect email that is phishing. So and the concept is this: beforehand, we kind of relying on ourselves or vendor to have a bigger gun. We want to make sure the police have a better AI or better technology that can actually detect the bad guy. So with AI and the availability of ChatGPT-4 and stuff like that, basically we kind of level the playing field as well, because the phisher already have access to the biggest LLM. So what do we do about it? Now the thing is, if you think about this, go into the details about how this actually works with the same graph. There are a number of things that you can distinguish. Now, first are the reds. The red items are things that will be affected by what I call the AI versus AI arm race. They can perfect that. But then we also have the blue boxes over there. So the blue boxes are the things that cannot be changed by ChatGPT, cannot be amended by AI as well. These are the foundation of how it works. So the result, if we are to encounter this problem about AI versus AI arm race, what we need to do is to go back to basic, understand what cannot be changed under how the internet actually works. So it needs to go back into the foundation of the internet. So the first thing is that, if you look into the title, it can be smooth, but it cannot be really changed. So, I think Katie already mentioned this in his morning session in the opening about, whether you should really, have a good email governance. So SPF record, DMARC, DKIM, how do you actually define your identity online in the email world is extremely important. We have to do that as one of the basic. The other basic is this part, the domain name part. It can't be changed, right? So, you can try to, register a domain that is, similar looking, but you can't change the actual domain name in the email. We can definitely check that. So that's also one of the basic. It defines your identity online, and you have to secure your identity. All right? So that's very important. Now, if we look into actually how you can do that to secure your digital identity, that's roughly what you need to do, and I don't have time to go through this, but you have to ensure that your critical domain names, your actual identity are secure. You have to secure a defensive portfolio. We have a domain security report that you can scan and download, which talked about how many people actually didn't secure the .ai and it get obtained by many other phishers already. And it talks about how do you actually strategize this. And I can actually announce something prematurely today as well. Blocking is actually quite interesting. We are going to launch a blocking service in China that block basically all the different combination of potential phishing email domain name for you in China under .cn. So that's something that we can actually do. But you have to be in the internet community to know that's actually available. So please talk to us later on if you are interested in that. In the kind of the outer layer, we have to go to do some proactive monitoring of phishing attacks and domain name registration. Katie talked about the Yang domain name this morning, and we are working with a lot of the registry, some together with PwC as well, to secure and make sure that we actually have data available to monitor those. Now the second problem that I would talk about is that sometimes there are also fake AI. You can see, a lot of different registration of domain name pretending to be ChatGPT as well. So now this is not directly related to you, but your staff may be accessing this and got phished as well. And malware could be installed into your environment because of that. But the other problem that I want to talk about, which you can do a little bit more, is, if I ask ChatGPT about a question called which is the best bank in Hong Kong at the moment, so that's what it comes back with in my testing. So it talk about DBS, it talk about HSBC, it talk about Hang Seng Bank. So there are two implications. Now, how do I ensure that if a customer asks the same question about my company, how do I appear over there? Now, the answer is you can't inference the AI black box, but you can inference the semantic web. So you have to look into how you inference data being interpreted using AI. So we can skip that part, but the other thing is, could there be a phishing website being linked over there? We talk about the hallucination about AI. Could that be one of these? Can there be something like that? So if a phisher knows how to work the semantic web and how to tag, the phishing site, could potentially be. It doesn't happen at the moment, but when the AI still keeps developing, it's quite possible to do that. So what do you actually need to do to prevent that from happening? Now, if we go back into this graph, Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, Web 3.0, So, Web3 is probably best understand as blockchain 1.0 because it actually doesn't use the same foundational technology. But the foundational technology of Web 1, 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0 are the same. Now, it's the TCP, IP, DNS, TLS, HTML, HTTP, these kind of things. Boring, but it is what it is. It is the foundation of the internet itself. And all this will be relied upon by AI to generate the understanding of the internet. The result, going back from the AI, will be the data that you input from this Web 3.0 architecture. So what you actually need to do is the same. You have to go back into who you are, the digital identity. The concept that Katie talked about this morning as well. And the identity of your company on the internet is predominantly defined by something called digital asset. And I'm not talking about the blockchain. Once again, it's something like domain name, the DNS, your digital certificate. Some of this boring stuff that you may outsource to your operational staff, but it's actually extremely important in the future. Because if you don't manage this well, you don't manage your identity well. Because all these interact with your traditional trademark rights and stuff like that, and create your digital identity. Your company, your identity do not exist on the internet without this asset. All right? So if you understand this concept, then what you need to do, and you can think about phishing attacks from the online identity abuse kind of perspective. And different types of phishing attack. We are company A, let's reset the password. I'm the CFO, send me the money over there. Or the software needs update, these are all identity abuse on the internet. It pretends to be your identity to launch this attack. So it is important to secure your identity as the first line of defense. And and this is where we are. We are from the internet community. We are from the kind of the cybersecurity industry, and we are from the illegal community, because in order to deal with this problem, you need multiple industry to work together. And in practice, you need to do something like protect your core domain, implement DMARC, strategize your defensive domain portfolio, monitor the index channel, monitor your domain name registration, pretending to be your identity, and last part, enforce on it as well. So I won't have time to talk about the actual products. As I mentioned, if you're interested, we can go visit the booth. But hopefully, I can share something slightly different to you, and hopefully you enjoy the session. Thank you very much.